Top 10 Worst Best Picture Winners. You will never guess what the number one animal is. Like and subscribe for weekly videos. In the comments below, list one topic you think should be in a top 10 video and comment if you subscribe to this channel. Let's be honest, the Oscar for Best Picture once in a while goes to the real best image of some random year. Since the commencement of the Academy Awards in 1928, there have been various doozies that left with the business most renowned honor, some inferior movies, some normal, some not generally excellent by any means. Considering this reasoning, I have incorporated my own rundown, the top 10 worst Best Picture winners of all time. Take a glance at this previous year. For instance, The Hurt Locker won the most elevated honor, and I wouldn't place that in my top 15 movies of the year. Notwithstanding, it was kind of a feeble year for incredible movies, and therefore, I barred it from this rundown. I realize everybody says Conventional People, 1980, and Hits the Dance Floor with Wolves, 1990, were undeserving of winning Best Picture. That Furious Bull, 1980, and Goodfellas, two sensational movies by Martin Scorsese, were the better movies. This is most likely evident, and I would concur with this opinion. Nonetheless, I was unable to incorporate the movies of Robert Redford and Kevin Costner on this specific top 10 list on the grounds that, in all honesty, I think they are both 4-star films in their own right. Is Kramer vs. Kramer, 1979, a superior film than Coppola's magnum opus that is End of the World Now? I surely don't think so. Nonetheless, Kramer vs. Kramer won, and I love the film, so this also will be likewise omitted. I urgently needed to incorporate Titanic, 1997, on this rundown. It is anything but an excellent film and has not matured well by any means, despite the fact that it's just been 13 years. I discover the film manipulative on numerous levels, and the content is absolute cheesy and poor. Be that as it may, I comprehend why it won, and it was, at that point, an extraordinary realistic accomplishment on a specialized level. On head of this, there were relatively few different movies that hung out in 1997, so unfortunately, I was unable to incorporate the over-advertised Titanic on this lofty rundown. I don't think A Beautiful Mind, 2001, is an awesome film by any stretch of the imagination. The Person with the Ailment makes for incredible Oscar lore, yet there wasn't a lot to respect in this theatrical film. Also, truly, there wasn't a lot to pick from during the pale year for films, so I was unable to try and incorporate this either. A Best Picture Oscar victor ought to be a moment exemplary. It should stand the trial of time. It ought to be a film that, a long time and a very long time from its delivery, will be recollected and taken again at as a demonstration of now is the right time. Some Best Picture champs that exemplify this precept are Gone with the Wind, 1939, The Godfather films, 1972, 1974, Schindler's List, 1993, Unforgiven, 1991, From Here to Eternity, 1953, and On the Waterfront, 1954. Regardless, look it over, mention to me what you think, and appreciate. 10. The English Patient, 1996. I really like this film, however given the other outstanding movies of that year, I needed to put this on the rundown. That is to say, Gone Ahead. We really went gaga for this film and can watch it again and again. It surely has the vibes of a Best Picture champ. It's amazing and epic in scope. Oscar adores that, I know. However, with films like Fargo, Privileged Insights and Lies, Breaking the Waves, The People vs. Larry Flint, Sling Blade, my own number one film for 1996, and Huge Night, I tragically needed to incorporate this. Elaine Bennies from Seinfeld had this film fixed. She was at any rate sufficiently legitimate to concede her dismay of this film, and was estranged by everybody, counting her present beau, for her authenticity. 9. Gigi, 1958. There have been various musicals to win for Best Picture: Oliver, The Sound of Music, My Fair Lady, yet this is a normal, best-case scenario, melodic that nobody truly recalls today. It's overlong and there is not really any moving in the film, assuming any. The progression of time likewise shows Bit of Evil, Vertigo, Mon Oncle, The Defiant Ones and A Night to Remember as being a lot more grounded films. That is to say, truly. What film class is separating and dissecting Gigi over works of art by Orson Welles and Jacques Tati from that very year? 8. Chariots of Fire, 1981. Another case of a decent film that, for reasons unknown, pulled off the fabulous prize. I would think the vast majority take a gander at this film and think how moderate and exhausting this is. How captivating can a film about running be in any case? I realize it's considered by numerous individuals to be an exemplary sports film. Be that as it may, similar to golf and billiards, running isn't a game. I think Warren Beatty's Reds was a work of art of a film. Additionally, delivered in 1981 and recalled with a lot more noteworthy affection than the sparkling Chariots of Fire are Pillagers of the Lost Ark, On Golden Pond, and The Uncommon Das Boot. 7. Forrest Gump 1994. Run, Forrest, run. For 15 minutes of film, just run. I know, it's an advanced, American work of art, correct? You snickered, you cried, it had extraordinary music and Tom Hanks was astonishing. Whatever. I enjoyed it. However, it was hard not to like. The enhanced visualizations of putting Forrest close to an entire slew of remarkable 20th century figures was cool. However, how often would you be able to do it? And the romantic tale at the center of the film is sweet and contacting. Be that as it may, 1994 was really an incredible year for film. I was unable to try and place this film in my top 15 with other incredible accomplishments like The Shawshank Redemption, Test Show, Il Postino, Circle Dreams, The Unbelievable Characteristic Born Killers, Christoph's Red, and indeed, even MASH Fiction, which is overappraised in its own right, yet at the same time, a superior decision than this schmaltzy, computing, and ineffectively altered film. For Academy electors, this was the simple, safe pick for that year. Definitely, Forrest. Continue running. 6. The Departed 2006. The time of the long overdue Grant concealing as Best Picture and Best Director separately. I love Martin Scorsese and am a colossal devotee of so a large number of his movies, however this should not be winning the best two honors of the night, not to mention have the pleasure of being selected. In the event that any film really stood apart that year, Scorsese would have returned home with practically nothing by and by. Yet, too bad, no such film existed. Here, the reasoning was, well, he's made some splendid movies before, but since there was firm rivalry those years, he just always lost the large one. How about we give him his Oscar now? Nicholson is over the top, stunner. Wahlberg, who I really like, was a debacle, and truly, it doesn't match the first 2002 film Diabolical Affairs. The Departed was up again Babel, Little Miss Sunshine, which ought to have won as Frater would like to think, The Queen, and Letters from Iwo Jima. 5. Cavalcade 1933. The film is absolute dull and overlong. It's absolutely impossible around it. It made for an exhausting play, and here it is, an exhausting and unnatural British film. The film follows a couple of British blue bloods over the range of 30 years and the tempestuous occasions in which they live, 1899 to 1933. There have been some fantastic British movies throughout the long term. This isn't one of them. In the event that I needed to perceive how World War I, the demise of Queen Victoria, and the sinking of the Titanic influenced society, I could watch a unique on the History Channel and be more engaged. Some incredible movies that were scorned in lieu of this snooze fest were The Best Kong, I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang, Little Women, and She Done Him Wrong. Truly, even at 66 minutes, it leaves considerably more of an effect than the rest that is parade. 4. How Green Was My Valley 1941. I don't know how this film beat out a film that changed the essence of movies as we probably am aware it, Citizen Kane, yet it did. I'm not one of those individuals who believe that Resident Kane is the end-all and be-all, yet please. It changed the manner in which we see and make film. John Ford was a spectacular movie producer, however this is another dull, dreary film whose lone distinguishing strength is that it outperformed Orson Welles' Showstopper. The film fixates on the dismal existences of coal excavators and is more qualified for review in a school class on human science or work relations than as a bit of diversion. Other commendable movies that were delivered for the current year other than Resident Kane, Doubt, The Maltese Falcon, Little Foxes, and indeed, even Disney's Dumbo is the more noteworthy work. 3. Driving Miss Daisy 1989. This is a sweet film with some contacting minutes. Morgan Freeman is extraordinary here, as is Jessica Tandy, who won the Best Actress Oscar here. Be that as it may, Best Picture? Do you truly think back to 1989 and recollect this similar to the year's Best Picture? In the event that you are stating, yes as you read this currently, I'm considering you a liar. The movie's chief wasn't perceived as a Best Director candidate. This was where electors needed to like themselves by choosing a film that, randomly, shows the indecencies of bigotry. On that level, I felt the film to be somewhat annoying, frankly. It deals with its watchers like morons, thinking we had no clue about how ineffectively blacks were treated in the South in 1948 and that indeed, prejudice is terrible. Much obliged to you. It positioned so high on the rundown thus and on the grounds that it weakly beat out such terrific victories of film, for example, film parody So, Dead Poets Society, conceived on the 4th of July, wrongdoings and misdemeanors and sex, lies, and videotape. 2 Around the World in 80 Days 1956 On any rundown like this one, this film you will most definitely discover. For the entirety of its great areas and cast of entertainers, this is another long, 3+ hours, dull, dreary film. It is obsolete, certainly, with no feeling of experience or miracle to it by any means, dissimilar to the Jules Verne story that it depends on. Watch it now, reveal to me it doesn't feel like you're observing some custom-made travel recordings, or even those ancient instructive recordings you used to watch in the 6th grade. How this won Best Picture, I have no clue, except for with appearances by more than 40 of Hollywood stars at that point. My reasoning is that there were countless individuals related with this film somehow, that enough votes went its direction. The Searchers, The 10 Commandments, Monster and Anastasia would have been considerably more commendable picks, or movies that when we watch them today, more than 50 years after the fact, actually engage and draw in us. 1 Chicago 2002 This one was a tragedy. I'll begin by saying that I saw it on Broadway years back and adored it. It was incredible, provocative diversion loaded up with superb movement. Furthermore, not at all like some Broadway musicals that made fruitful advances to the universe of film, this fair plays a senseless amusement equipped to the merriment segment. It plays more like the bombed melodic transformations, for example, Listen Goes to the Opera, than it does the ones which really epitomize the pith of what made the musicals extraordinary in any case, like West Side Story or An American in Paris. The melodies are extraordinary, certain, it's an incredible melodic. However, when you leave it to a Hollywood cast who are there for film industry power and not their singing cleaves, John C. Reilly, Renee Zellweger, Richard Gere, the melodies crash and burn. It was a frail year for good motion pictures, yet nobody is ever going to glance back at 2002 and think, goodness, Chicago was the best film that year. Chicago is certainly not a decent film that beat out the All the More Meriting. It is a poor, allure over substance film that beat out the All the More Meriting. Those movies would be Variation, Converse with Her, Groups of New York, Frida and the Pianist.